From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICB Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And boy, oh boy, it is time to go ahead and get into the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. And well, you know, I like to say live. I like to say, you know, Primetime Angles, but regardless of anything, you guys are with me today. So let's go ahead and try to win the day today. And so, man, you guys already know what time it is. Pretty much we got ourselves a very good show ahead of ourselves. And it starts off with, I'm just over here trying to get out the retweet, you know what I mean? So pretty much the show starts today with the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. Japan wins 3-2 over the USA. Will this event boost the MLB? Will this event be the boost the MLB needs? Questions. Ohtani, the MVP. Ohtani was absolutely incredible yesterday. He had himself a game on game, you know, and he was the pitcher who did close out the game for Japan as well, too. And he struck out his own teammate, Mike Trout, in the process. And it was crazy. It was like Captain America versus Captain Japan, you know, superhero, supervillain. You know, I think that Japan played the role of the superheroes this time, and pesky old America played the superpower supervillain in this one. And I think that it's a big moment for Japan. I think that it's a big moment for the U.S. as well, too, because it showed the camaraderie of the baseball players in this country, that they love being around each other. They love playing with each other. They love having the opportunity to play with each other. And I thought that it was special. I'm going to keep it honest with you. I thought it was a special moment because how great is that when you have Mookie Betts and Mike Trout batting right after each other? Then you throw in Goldschmidt as well, too, into that group. That's just, it was absolutely amazing. Then Nolan Arenado as well, too, was a part of it. Jeff McNeil, you know, Cedric Mullins, and you just start naming off these really good all-stars that were a part of it. But then you kind of get mad, and it's like, damn, I wish Aaron Judge was a part of it. Damn, I wish Giancarlo Stanton was a part of it. Because then it starts turning really into it turns into what you really want it to be. It turns into a fantasy baseball game somewhat. You know what I mean? A real-life fantasy baseball game that features all the best players, not from the country of the U.S., but from all around the world. I thought that every country that participated pretty much upped their baseball stakes as they move forward. And pretty much I think that we're on to something huge here with the WBC. A lot of people watched the game, and there were a lot of, you know, skeptics and haters as well, too. Of course, they're going to all talk about, you know, the difference in broadcasting. You know, you heard the Japanese broadcast. It's nothing but excitement. They had a walk-off win the night before, beating Mexico, you know, and everybody was like, man, this Japanese call was absolutely amazing. Then last night they ended with the strikeout over the mighty U.S., a team that they know has been a thorn in their side throughout this whole WBC situation. And pretty much they went ahead and alleviated them. And, you know, even Ohtani said in his pregame speech that we got to stop admiring them. And I knew what he meant by that. That meant that, you know, that they're so honorable to the USA players and to the USA culture of baseball that, you know, today we're not going to be here to be respectful. We're going to be here to try to win this game because we have to prove a point that we're shoulder to shoulder with the USA when it comes to baseball. and we might love this game just a little bit more than they ever have. And so pretty much that's the thought that I got. But one thing I will say is, if you're not here with baseball literally from April to October, we don't want to hear your opinion on what baseball needs to change or not change. I like the fact that we have fans participating and having a good time in the crowd, like how they do at the World Cup and everything like that, making a whole lot of noise and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, this was an exhibition. So that's what you want them to. You want them to be participate, have a good time. You don't want it to be like a mid-season baseball game on a Sunday in Milwaukee, and it's quiet in the crowd, and there's half a crowd there. You didn't want that. It played up to what it needed to play up to, because that's what type of event it was. But we cannot bring that into actual baseball. At the end of the day, I will not. It won't be fun watching an MLB game with a person constantly smacking a bat together, or constantly smacking a drum or anything like that. I know that there's stadiums that do that, but they have a time and place to do that as well too. Like the Atlanta Chomp, you know what I mean? And the Dodgers beach ball that goes around as well too, that makes a whole lot of noise. People making a whole lot of noise when that's going around. But at the end of the day, these are parts of the game, like certain portions of the game and certain innings and certain situations. It can't be throughout the whole game so you can feel entertained. We're here to watch a baseball game. We're not here to be at a party. You know what I mean? So literally, that's one of the worst excuses I could ever hear about watching baseball, is that we need to have a little bit more noise and a little bit more entertainment. That baseball has never been a game of noise. Let's just keep it real. It's never been a game about what a fan's reaction. It really isn't. Like, I'm serious. Like, look, at the end of the day, sometimes when the crowd gets way too pumped up, the pitcher will go out there and strike out the whole side. So they really need their concentration. And that's just what my point is. But all in all, this was a great event. It was an awesome event. And I look forward to 2026, but I really look forward to the next 8 days when we do start opening day on actually next Thursday, to be exact. It's crazy that we're going to start the MLB pretty much on the weekend this year. And that's a smart idea to get yourself into the weekend rating. So yeah, we'll have more about that. And I'm getting a little sad now because I only got one more week to talk about 30 teams in 30 days. So I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit by the time we get to Monday. So probably I'm going to be doing 2 teams a day, and then I'll finish up with the Dodgers. So pretty much there it is. We'll have some more baseball talk coming up in a moment. We're going to get into 30 teams, 30 days about the Milwaukee Brewers. So you guys make sure to stick around for that one if you guys want to hear about that. But right now, we're going to go ahead and jump into this next topic, which is the story of the day in the boxing world. It's a different story every day. And usually most times it's not about a fight being booked. It's about a fight that almost got booked. And here goes another one. Fury Usyk is now off. And why it was never really on. See, simple. When you have an undisputed heavyweight championship fight, you got to have a press conference at least 90 days out from the actual date of the fight. So then you can actually sell a fight, pretty much. I have never seen an undisputed fight be put together this quickly and then fall apart this quickly, because at the end of the day, it was never happening. Yes, they did open up the everybody got on the phone, talked a little bit. They found a venue. They threw out some money. They threw out some purses. But at the end of the day, there's one guy that wants to just take on the fight so he can have an opportunity to be an undisputed champ. And then there's another guy that's talking about the money's not right. And I do kind of understand Tyson Fury's objections in a sense. He is a cash cow when it comes to who he is. He's from Europe. He's Irish. He's a gypsy. He's a brouhaha, big party guy, all this good stuff. And pretty much he's became a very popular figure throughout the world, not just in Europe. And so pretty much I think that he wants to make sure he's getting that top dollar as well. And I think that the money was good, but it just wasn't good enough because he is risking, his O. And let's keep it real. I know everybody, Usyk's just too small. Usyk's just this. Well, Usyk has a brain as well too, and he uses it very well. And Tyson Fury uses his brain very well too. But I think that Usyk has a lot more motivation right now. I think that Tyson Fury is a little bit overconfident because you guys can say whatever you want about him being this great heavyweight and everything like that. But let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. He couldn't carry Larry Holmes' jockstrap in a real way. Let's just keep it real, dude. Like, seriously, I will never put Tyson Fury in the top 10 of heavyweights ever. Like, and I won't put Klitschko in the top 10 of heavyweights ever either, because when you look at every era and things of that nature, when you put people prime for prime, these guys are just stepping stones to the next guy for the real great ones at the end of the day. But the heavyweight division is in an influx. Okay, this is a very, very ongoing situation where we haven't had a consistent heavyweight champion in the U.S. since Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder held the WBC belt for 6 years and did like 10 defenses, never got the love that anybody else would have got who was in that position, because everybody felt like he's fighting, easy targets. But at the end of the day, he fought who could be in front of him, who wanted to be in front of him. And pretty much these were the guys who were the mandatories. These were the guys who were the number one contenders for the belt. And so pretty much they weren't bad fighters. It's just that his power is that exceptional at the end of the day. But I don't think that he could sell the same way as, say, a Mike Tyson or a Muhammad Ali, because he's from the country and he's a little bold, and there was a few things that he did that rubbed people the wrong way. I think that Deontay Wilder is an exceptional fighter, and I think that he's an exceptional person outside of the ring as well too. He's a very articulate man as well, and he's a guy that it follows the beat to his own drum, and a lot of people don't like that in today's world. So it is what it is. But I think that Usyk did everything right. Usyk said, okay, we can do 70-30. Usyk said, okay, we can go to back to London. Usyk said, okay to everything. But then Usyk, from what I heard, Usyk came back and said that if I win the fight, though, let me get that 70-30. And Fury said it'd be 50-50 if you win. So really, at the end of the day, if it's all about the money, then really, in reality, Tyson Fury's pretty much saying, I'm only going to take this risk if the money's right. Because if I lose this fight, then I know that I can't keep using this stigma that everybody has put on me. Yes, you did great against Deontay Wilder, but Jack Reese saved you in the first fight. Let's keep it real. That's something that none of you people ever want to bring up, say anything. I was at the fight. His ass was knocked out. He was dead. Jack Reese sat up there, gave him an extra 5 seconds, whatever, to get up. So let's not play that game anymore. All right? He didn't beat him 3 times. He beat him twice. Okay? And I'll give him the other 2 times. But the first time, literally, the fight should have been waved off. And if the fight gets waved off, Tyson Fury's career is over. Let's keep it real. Would have just been a great night, and he almost won. Nobody would have cared. Keep it real. So at the end of the day, he needs to be a little bit more humble. He needs to really go ahead and defend these belts. And he really needs to go ahead and just shut up sometimes as well, too. Because we want our heavyweight champions to fight. We don't want our heavyweight champions going back and forth with retirement. And then at the end of the day, when they know that they're full of shit, and they know that they're just keep on lying to you, then hold him accountable. And that's what we have to do with Tyson Fury now. You have to hold him accountable. If you're this great fighter, if you're this great person, fight. Because keep it real. How many times has he truly fought since he got back on the scene when he fought Wilder the first time? I'll wait. Not enough times to tell me that you're the greatest heavyweight of all time. And who did you fight in the process? Dylan White, Chisora, Waylon. Come on, man. Come on, dog. Come on. Seriously. Let's stop the circus and let's get to business. It's that simple. All right. So hopefully we'll get something on the heavyweight front very soon. I'm hearing Deontay Wilder is very close to confirming his next fight as well, too. So there it is. Fury Usyk, if your Usyk is off, okay? And like I said, it was never really on. So there it is, and there it is. All right, so let's move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about Ed Cooley. Ed Cooley, I know that I mentioned it a bit yesterday when I talked about Rick Pitino, but you know I love the Big East, and you know I got to talk some Big East because you know I love me some Georgetown, and you know I just got to go ahead and break it on down. Georgetown. Ed Cooley moves to GTOWN from Providence. Why would he make this move at this time? It's simple. It's Georgetown. At the end of the day, he's a black man in America, and this has became the most coveted job for any black head coach in college basketball, the Georgetown job, because literally you get the double whammy. You get great academics and you get great athletic and you get a great support of the athletic programs as well too, especially the basketball program that's seen as the premier program of the university. But the basketball program hasn't been a winning program in over 15 years, like a consistently winning program. Last time that they had some good winning going on was when they had Roy Hibbert and Jeff Green and those fellas there. And times have surely passed since then. Brandon Bowman as well too. But you know, it's just crazy to me because Georgetown spent a lot of years playing against, you know, all the HBCUs and all that stuff and still figuring out ways to lose those games. And then, you know, just Pat Ewing just forever having these 14 and 16 seasons, these 15 and 15 seasons. He was lucky enough to win the Big East tournament, and it kind of showed that the Hoyas had a lot of course not, nephew. He's not the greatest heavyweight in period. He's not even the best heavyweight of this decade. You know, like literally, like it's a wash, bro. It's a overhype. But Ed Cooley Ed Cooley moving to Georgetown, very, very simple move, man. It's better money. It's a better situation, and it's going to be a lot of pressure, but it's pressure that he can handle. And then he can actually recruit much better than he's ever recruited before. Literally, Providence guys were coming there because they needed a shot. You know what I mean? And, you know, Ed Cooley found him, you know, and that's what it is. I'm trying to think of the kid. He went to the NBA as well, too. He didn't last very long in the league either, but he was a very, very good player. Cooley found this guy on the street. Like literally, him and his brother used to go play street ball every day. They weren't even high school players. And literally, they found these guys and they found this guy and he became like the best player at Providence. So Ed Cooley has a little bit of those John Thompson traits where he will go to the darkest neighborhood to go get that player. You know what I mean? And if he can get him qualified for college, he'll bring him in. It's that simple. So him leaving for Georgetown, there's so many positives coming to Georgetown. But let me get back to why Patrick Ewing just failed at Georgetown. Patrick Ewing was a big NBA personality, and he's considered the greatest player to ever play at Georgetown. So there was a lot of excitement around it, and there was a lot of patience around it as well, too, because they had this idea that he could be John Thompson, the 2.0. But the funniest part about it is John Thompson's own son, his own son, who's named after him, John Thompson Jr., the third or whatever it was, but his son that's named right after him actually took over and was way more successful than Patrick Ewing ever was. And he was the closest thing to his father. So that's the biggest problem with a lot of these people in charge. They think they can duplicate greatness with a person that might be a student or a person who's a peer. And I just don't think that works. You know what I mean? I don't think that should be the reason why somebody gets hired for a job. And there's a reason why there's a reason why Patrick Ewing failed at Georgetown. Is very simple. He's not a head coach. Period. He's a great assistant. He's a great guy that can teach a certain position. But I don't think that he can really lead young men because he couldn't lead the Knicks. Let's keep it real. He was really great on the Knicks, but the Knicks always had that dog veteran player who was always pushing the team. You know what I mean? It wasn't Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing just went in there and did his job. He get 2010, it's good. You know, we move on. It's whatever. But he wasn't a leader like that. Let's keep it real. Patrick Ewing was just a pop culture icon figure, and he got lucky that he was on the New York Knicks. If you throw him on the, say, let's keep it real. You throw him on the Utah Jazz, Patrick Ewing he still goes to the Hall of Fame. He still has all that stuff, all those accolades, but nobody has these mythical great stories about Patrick Ewing. They just talk about, hey, he went to Georgetown, then he went to Utah. Cool. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't a type of person who was a big-time personality or anything like that. He's not a flamboyant guy. He's very cool, calm, and demeanor. But a lot of things about Patrick Ewing is always showing that he's a loser. Straight up. When he was in the NBA, he used to lose to Jordan a lot. When he was in college, he lost 3 out of 4 nationals. He had lost 3 out of 4 opportunities that won a national championship. The guy was always great at finishing second. So pretty much that's the results that you're going to get with a guy when he becomes your head coach. And it's just that simple. Patrick Ewing literally recruited off of his name in Georgetown. He didn't recruit the guys that he needed to be at Georgetown. It takes a certain player to be a Georgetown Hoya. And I think he totally forgot that point. And it's really that simple at the end of the day. And Ed Cooley is a guy who will find those players, who will find those guys, because he was coaching up this type of team at Providence. So I think that he just made this move because now you've upgraded your resources. You've upgraded your budgets from when it comes to recruiting, and then you have more of a national imprint. You're just not recruiting guys from New York City, guys from Jersey, guys from Boston, guys from the Northeast area. You know what I mean? You get a whole nation. You get California, you get Texas, you get Florida, you get all these places that are so into the history of Georgetown. And there it is. It's really simple because Georgetown, everybody knows, it's a very easy pitch for young African-American players. And I don't like to say African-American, but young Black players. Okay, let's just keep it real. All right. And, that's where he'll probably be going. But at the end of the day, too, you have to understand that Georgetown is about the student athlete. It's not about the athletes the athletes fund the school. That's far from the truth. So he's going to have to get himself some real student athletes. And so pretty much he's going to have to get guys that are willing to stay 2 or 3 years and commit to the system. Pat's biggest problem is that he had this infatuation of getting these one and dones that were very undisciplined. He had a guy that went to 4 different colleges in 4 different years. Mac McClung literally almost went to a third school himself, but then he went to the NBA. So you just can't get guys like that and think that you're going to be really winning anything. So there it is. Congratulations to Ed Cooley on his somewhat of a promotion for him to go to Georgetown. I know it sounds really bad, and I know that Providence fans are a little upset, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Kim English is on the no, Kim English is not headed to Providence. I'm sorry. Kim English is actually headed to he was coming from George Mason. Is he headed to Providence? He may be. So I gotta look it back up. I don't think he's headed to Providence, though. I think he's headed to we'll figure it out. But I don't think that they found their coach all the way yet. But we'll see how it goes. But let's move forward and let's go ahead and talk about 30 teams in 30 days. And that's going to be with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Milwaukee Brewers, 30 teams, 30 days. Milwaukee Brewers barely missed the playoffs last year. And they actually had a pretty bad September. So that's what kept them out the playoffs. You know what I mean? But, they got one of the better rosters in the MLB. And, this year is no different. They still got a really good team there. And last year they finished up 86-76, second in the NL Central, missed the playoffs by a game and a half. Phillies pretty much backdoored them to get there. Got them over there at the end of the stretch. They were hot. The Brewers were struggling. It's very simple. So pretty much the Brewers come back into this season with a very, very strong, very, very strong pitching rotation. You got Corbin Burns, who was, I think, the Cy Young last year, and he's projected to strike out 233 batters this year. Then Brandon Woodruff comes right behind him, and they have him projected to strike out 195 guys. So pretty much what you're saying is the top half of that pitching rotation might get you your first 2 wins of the week. And then you get Eric Lauer, who's a very good third day pitcher, who is pretty exceptional on days. But then there's some days he struggles as well too. So he's sitting at 146 on Ks for next year. And then the good old vet Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta is he's not seen to have like he's going to have a lot of innings, but he got a good ERA that they have projected for him. Even winner for next year as well too. And not going to walk a lot of guys from what they're saying. Freddie Peralta can be the glue of this group. And then Wade Miley is more of a spot starter. You know, Wade Miley comes in there, pitches 3 or 4 or 5 innings, and then he's done. You know, that's pretty much what Wade Miley's going to do. So when you look at this, they have a top 10 pitching rotation. It's just that simple. But they need to get some runs. And I'm looking at this group right now. When you look at their projected 2 through 4 hitters, it's Willie Ames, it's Roddy Tellis, and it's William Contreras. It looks like that they have them combining for 77 home runs next year and combining for about 240 RBIs next year as a group. Okay. And pretty much Christian Yelich is the leadoff man of this. And that's possibly one of the best 4 to start a lineup in baseball. And that's why I say that the Brewers are a team that you're going to have to reckon with. You know, Jesse Winker looks to be somebody that can be an X factor this season as well. Luis Urias is somebody that they're going to take that's going to take a lot of action here in these fantasy leagues. They have him projected to hit 19 home runs this year as well too. Garrett Mitchell is seen as the speedster, so you can get that guy to be a really good situational player and probably a rabbit, somebody that can, once he gets on base, you get him to second base, you get yourself a little single, there goes a run. But they don't have him scoring that many runs this year, but they do have him still in 18 bases. So that should be helpful for this team as well. Brian Anderson is a guy that's seen as will probably be more of a platoon guy. And Bryce Terang, it's more about the defense with him than anything, but he is a guy that can figure his way out on base and things like that. But you can't look at him to be a power hitter because they have him projected to hit 6 home runs next year, have 35 RBIs. He's more of a table setter. His thing will be to move the bases for this team as well. But one thing I don't like, though, they do have a high strikeout rate with about 7 out of the 9 guys in the lineup. And I think that that's going to be kind of crucial. It's going to be kind of critical. So they're going to have Willie Ames be a little bit better and a little bit less aggressive at the plate because he's somebody that's literally like pretty much their best player when it comes down to how they have these guys projected going into this season. So pretty much what I like about this Brewers team is that they got a lot of motivation from what happened to them last season. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take them with the over 86.5 this season. And I think that they have a great chance of winning the Central as well, too. But I'll reveal my winner on Friday of the division. So you guys just be ready for that. But I already have 3 teams. The 3 teams I did review, I have them all going over. But you have to understand the Cubs and the Reds, they don't have a big number. But this 86.5, what I'm saying here is that the Brewers are a playoff team. And with the 6 playoff spots now, I could easily see the Brewers taking care of one of those 3 wild card spots or actually just winning the division. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's going to be our first little portion of the show. So when I get back, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into the NBA the state of the Lakers, and we got Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are Bizak, and pretty much here we are. We are very, very into what's going on with the NBA. NBA is really playing its absolute best season ever when it comes to parity, and I think that pretty much it comes down to, pretty much who wants it the most. And as you guys can see, the Lakers do have a game tonight against the Phoenix Suns. The Lakers have 10 games left to go in the season. They're the 11 hole of the playoffs, so that means that they're outside of the play-in right now as we speak. But good thing for the Lakers that they're only a half a game back from getting on in. And it's really like a technicality is because you have a night off and you just need to play a game. So I'm looking at it right now. Lakers are 35-37. You got Utah 35-36. You got Minnesota 36-37. You got Dallas 36-36. Oklahoma City's 36-36. This is who the Lakers are chasing. They're only a game out of this situation right here. And then when it comes to the 6 seed, they're actually just a game and a half out of that situation. And then they're only 2.5 games out of the 5 seed. And then they're only 3.5 games outside of the 4 seed. So you kind of just stay with me. You kind of get it, right? That the Lakers are not that far out. When you look at this situation, this is very, very like, wow. The Clippers could wind up losing 3 in a row. They're out of it. They could be the 11 seed. Oklahoma City winds up winning 3 in a row. They could be a 5 seed. This is just how crazy this has been. But the craziest part about it is the Pacific Division. You got the Pacific Division, other than the Lakers, 3 through 6. That's how tough of a division the Pacific has been. So, like, anybody that's really, like, talking ish about the Lakers, you really don't know what's going on. Look at everybody else's division and look at the Lakers division compared to that. And then the only division that can kind of compare to that, but it's funny because they got all the teams on the outside exception Denver, because literally every team in the Northwest is on the outside looking in. Like every single one of them. Not on the outside looking in where they're not in the playoffs. They're all playing teams. And Portland's pretty much out of it. Portland is pretty much thrown in the white flag. They're out of this thing. You know what I mean? Because Portland was right there in the mix of things, but Portland's just way too far out now. They're 4 games back from the 10th spot. There's no way. But they do have Utah tonight. We're going to talk about that in a moment. So you just don't have enough time. But the Lakers have 10 games left on the season. And as I keep telling you guys, the Lakers need to finish no less than 7-3. It's that simple. The Lakers finish 7-3. They're in the playoffs. Possibly could be the 6th seed as well, too. Now, with the Clippers having their situation right now, with the injury to Paul George last night, all these guys with these with these first names as last names. But with George getting hurt last night, that was key because the Clippers lost that game by 1 point. And the Clippers didn't play with a lot of effort. The Clippers seem to be a little fatigued right now. So we'll see how that shapes up. Then you got Dallas. Dallas is in a really tough game tonight with the Warriors. And it's like, who really needs to win this game? That's the thing. And I would say that Dallas needs to win the game a little bit more, but then they still do have Kyrie as a game time decision as well. And most likely Luka's probably going to be out that game. I haven't heard anything about Luka playing tonight, but I think that with the way the spread is looking and they have the Warriors as a favorite, one of them is going to be playing tonight. So that's what they're pretty much saying. But the Warriors are such a bad road team, it's going to be hard to trust them in that spot. But let's get down to business. The Lakers have not won one game against Phoenix this season. Phoenix has a 6-game winning streak against the Lakers in the regular season and overall 8 games, because everybody has to remember the Lakers were up 2-1 and then got swept through the back door, pretty much, as I always like to say. They got backdoor swept somewhat by the Suns, which was pretty sad. They went up 2-1 and then wind up losing the series 4-2. So all in all, the Lakers have lost the last 9 in a row since 2020 to this team. So the Lakers need to step it up. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? And they don't want to get swept by this Phoenix team this year. The Lakers actually have a pretty good resume. They beat the Warriors 3 out of 4 times this year, but they've struggled against the rest of the Pacific Division. They got a win over Sacramento, but they haven't been able to beat the Clippers or the Suns this year. So the Suns coming to this game very heavy on the pace right now, because they're just focused in on getting the season, over with, because they don't know if they're going to get back Durant, but they want to make sure that they're still in place. And this team is kind of going through the motions right now. They started off the month winning their first 4 games in a row for the month of March. And since then, they've lost their last 4 out of 5. So right now, they're 5-4 for the month. So, coming off of a pretty bad loss the other night against Oklahoma City in a game that they kind of blew, because they did have a good halftime lead and then wound up blowing that lead in the second half and actually only scoring they actually scored only 51 points compared to the 69 they dropped in the first half. So that was really a sign of, if you lock it up on the Suns, then you can beat them. So pretty much they got a pretty bad loss, but they are reeling a little bit. But you have to look at who they lost to. They lost to Sacramento, Golden State, and Milwaukee, and Oklahoma. All these teams are playoffs teams. So they're playing the Lakers tonight. And I think that, pretty much they'll have it in the back of their head that they got to win this one. But this is a tough little road trip for them. They got a 3-game road trip right now. They're not the greatest road team either. Let's just keep it real. They're not the greatest road team. They're 15-21. So they've had their struggles, but they actually have played better on the road. But the Lakers really can't say much. They're only 19-17 at home. So this game is going to present a lot of different elements tonight. And I do expect AD to step it up somewhat tonight, because AD, they need you to step it up. It's just that simple. AD, his last 5 games, he had 8 against Toronto. The Lakers did actually win that game against Toronto. He came back against New York, and they lost that game to New York by a few points. Then came back around, had a good homecoming night against New Orleans when they went to play the Pelicans, and then he had to take the next night off against Houston, which is so critical right now. Literally, the Lakers should have let him play the next night. And then they lost to Dallas. He scores 26, and then they beat Orlando, where he only scores 15. So it looks like his 2 lowest scoring games they did pretty good in. You know what I mean? But when you look at it right now, Lakers in their last 5, they went 3-2, but this messed up part about it is in their last 4, though, they've dropped 3 out of 4 of those games. So the Lakers have to get this one tonight. It's very important, but it won't end the season. So anybody keeps saying that it's a do or die type of game, it truly isn't. It's a game that the Lakers do need to win. But if they lose this game, it's okay, because they have another game, and that's going to be against Oklahoma City. Then they got 2 back-to-back with Chicago. So with that, I think that we're on to something here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that is the state of the Lakers today. They play tonight at 7 o'clock at the Crypto.com Center. And I think the game will be on ESPN, but I'll be watching on my favorite network, Spectrum. Because if you live in LA, you watch it on Spectrum. You don't watch it on ESPN. And CTNT, it depends. If TNT bought the game mid-season or something like that, we'll still get the game on 787 because it'll be a blackout on TNT. But all in all, Lakers tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And should be a good one. I see an over-under tonight that seems like it's the play, in my opinion, and I do like the over in that spot. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Mavs and the Warriors. The Mavs and Warriors, this should be a good one tonight. This is going to be between two teams, as I said before, that are chasing a playoff spot. You have the Mavs in the play-in situation, and then you have the Warriors in the situation where they are they're in, and Dallas isn't. Dallas is the 8th seed, and right now Golden State is the 6th seed, and they're only separated by half a game. So pretty much this game is very important for both sides tonight. So when I look at the stats, but they're tied by one game apiece here for the season series. And then the Warriors actually are 5-6 here in the month of March. They lost their last game. They won their last game 121-108 at Houston, snapped the 11-game road losing streak in the process as well. They're 7-29 straight up on the road, 9-27 against the spread on the road. When it comes to facing off against the Western Conference, they're actually 24-20 straight up, 21-23 against the spread. And when it comes down to their actual just spread, they're 34-38-1. And when it comes down to their 73 games, they've went over in 40 of them. Mavs coming here 4-5 in the month of March. They lost their last game 112-108 to Memphis. Also, they're 22-14 straight up at home, but they're 11-22-3 against the spread, one of the worst in the NBA. When it comes down to playing the Western Conference, they're 27-22 straight up, 22-26-1 against the spread. And just against the spread in general, one of the worst in the NBA at that as well, too, 27-42-3. But they do win games, so that's the difference. So pretty much that's what you have there. And I think what happens here in this spot tonight, I think that what truly does happen in this spot tonight is that we get ourselves a very, very close game. I think that it'll be a back and forth, and this will be a tricky game. So I like the Mavs to actually pull this one out because they play well at home, but they might not cover, but they play well at home. And the spread is 2.5 tonight. So they're the dog tonight, and it seems like they've stepped it up a few times as the slight dog in these spots. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next spot, which is going to be a good old rivalry. The Knicks and the Heat. And when Miami plays New York, it's always an event. And we in Miami tonight for this one. So pretty much from what I can see here is in my notes, you have a Knicks team that's actually been really good against the Heat this year. They've actually beat them twice this year. They're 2-0 in the season series. They're going to play against the Heat right now, and then they're going to play the Heat next week as well, too. And they actually played the Heat earlier this month as well, and they beat them by 2. So we have the Knicks 6-4 in the month of March, and they lost their last game 140-134. And when it comes to their road record straight up, they're 22-14 against the spread. They're 24-12, one of the best. Then when it comes to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 28-17, 26-17-2 against the spread. And then when it comes down to the actual spread, they're 40-30-3. Now, over under this year, they went over in 37 of their 73 games. So the Knicks, much improved from the last few years. Like, finally, Tom Thibodeau is getting his point across to the beloved New York Knicks. Now you got the Heat, 6-5 in the month of March. They won their last game, 112-100. They're 24-13 straight up at home, but they're 11-24-2 against the spread at home. Now, when it comes to playing the East straight up, 20-24. Against the spread, 15, 27, and 2. Two of the worst marks in the league when it comes to the spread. Now, when it comes to just the spread, they're 26, 44, and 3. Another bottom feeder of the spread. So they can win games, but the thing is, though, they do burn money if you are taking them on the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over and under, they've had 73 games this year. They've went under in 39 of them. So when I look at this game, I'm looking at the scoreboard. And I think tonight with the scoreboard, we're going to play the over. I like the over 224.5. I know it's kind of risky, but I think that we're going to get some scoring tonight. I think that Randall's pretty pumped up after what happened the other night with that loss and him dropping 57 points. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. But I do like the over 224.5. All right, let's move forward, and we jump into our next game, which is going to be the tricky game of the night. It's going to be the Bucks and the Spurs. The Spurs come in here after a 35-point drubbing last night to the New Orleans Pelicans, so they trying to bounce back. And let me give you guys some good info. These teams played back on November 22nd of last year, right? The beginning of the season. Guess what? The Bucks lost that game by 18 points. Yeah, the Spurs won that game by 18. And it was a different time in the year. The Spurs were actually playing a little bit better basketball. But please notate that because they're a 17.5-point dog tonight. And they beat this team by 18. Okay? So the over-under is 237.5. From what I'm seeing here in my notes right now, the Spurs are not even having a bad month. They're 4-6 in the month of March. They lost their last game last night by 35, 119-84. Now, when it comes down to their road woes, yeah, they're 6-28 straight up on the road. But against the spread, they're 11-23-1. Now, versus the Eastern Conference, they are 12-15. That's where you really say to yourself, you know what? We're not in bad shape here. We're not at all. Because when it comes down to it, I'm going against a team. They're 12-15, right? So when it comes down to it, they've actually played the East way better. So there you go. That's something that you can notate as well. Now against the spread, they're 30-42. That's way better than Miami, who's a winning team, and Dallas, who's a winning team as well too. So there's just some factors there for you. And then also you have them 28-41 overall as the underdog this year. 28-41 overall. So that's a good number in itself as well too. 28 covers this year for a team that's absolutely putrid. You know, come on, let's keep it real. And then when it comes down to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 12-15 straight up. But when it comes down to the spread, when it comes down to the spread, they're actually going to be 15-12. So that's something that gets me really intrigued about this spot tonight. And 15-12 and 12-15 straight up tells me that we got a team that's going to challenge tonight. And they don't have big issues with Eastern Conference teams. So when you look at the fact that this team scores in abundance as well too, you got a shot here. So they've actually went over in 40 of their 72 games, okay? And then you have the Bucks, 7-3 in the month of March, won their last game by 7 versus Toronto, 118-111. They're 29-7 straight up at home. They're 21-5 straight up versus the Western Conference. And then when it comes to the spread, they're 39-27-2. And then when it comes to the spread at home, they're 20-14. And then when it comes to being a favorite with the spread, they're 35-19-2. And then versus the West, they're 16-8-2 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over and under in their 71 games, they went under 36 times. So when I look at this one, it's a damn no-brainer. It's not hard. You're giving me 17 points off top. No problem. I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to take the 17. That's exactly what you want me to do, because what you're saying is that if you put this anything lower than 17, you were not going to get any money on the Spurs. This isn't hard at all. Let's go ahead and get the plus 17.5. And let me give you guys some good notes on this one as well, too. The last three plus 17s I've seen, the teams won straight up. I'm not going to say bet the Spurs straight up, but I'm just going to say be confident in the plus 17.5. It'll probably come home for you. All right, so let's move forward and talk about the Hawks. And why would you take a plus 17 with a team that lost by 18 points to this team? I know they're bad, but still, they beat them by 18 points. So you have the Hawks and the Wolves. The Hawks and the Wolves, this should be a fun one tonight. The Hawks coming in here 36-36. The Wolves, as I said before, 36-37. Very important game for them tonight. Very important game for the Hawks because the Hawks are the A seed in the Eastern Conference, and they do have a team nipping at their heels, Toronto. Toronto's only a game back, but you don't want to have any slippage. And they're starting to slip a little bit on winning the Southeast. So they got to start just holding it down a little bit because now they're 2.5 games outside of that Southeast lead after being a half a game out the last few days. So pretty much right now, the Hawks lead the season series. They already played on March 13th, and they beat them by 21, 136-115 in the A. So you got the Hawks 5-5 in the month of March. They won their last game versus Detroit, 129-107. And then they went ahead and they are 16-21 straight up on the road. And then they're 16-20-1 against the spread on the road. Now, as an underdog, they're 11-19 straight up. And then as against the spread, they're 15-14-1. Now, when it comes down to playing the Western Conference, they're 14-13 against the spread and straight up. And when it comes down to just the spread by itself, they're 33-29-1. In 72 games, they went over 40 times. So the Hawks come in here with revenge on their mind. So it should be good news for Wolves and Wolves bettors tonight. But these are the games that you shouldn't be taking the team that has the injured guy coming back. Yes, Cat is a top 10 player in the NBA. Yeah, I said it. Cat, top 10 player in the NBA. He'll be back tonight. He returns after missing 51 games, but that doesn't mean he's going to come into the game and be Superman, okay? This guy is going to have to ease himself back into the flow of the game. So I don't see him just jumping into the game and being, that much of an impact tonight, even though he'll be making some strides and he'll have some moments here. But the Wolves are 4-5 in the month of March. They won their last game 140-134 against the Knicks at the Garden. They snapped a 3-game losing streak in the process. Now at home, they're 20-17 against the spread. They're 18-19. When they're a favorite, they're 17-17 straight up, 13-21 against the spread. And when it comes to playing the Eastern Conference, they're 11-17 straight up, 10-19 against the spread versus the East. And when it comes down to their 73 games, they've went under in 37 of them. Tonight, I'm going to go ahead and circle the Hawks as my dog bet of the day at plus 170. This team needs to win badly. Minnesota needs to win badly, but they need to win badly too. This is a real playoff type atmosphere game. And I know that Anthony Edwards might play tonight as well too, but I don't know if I would be coming back that quickly from that type of ankle injury. And like I said before, Cat is dealing with the calf strain. He's good to go tonight, but as the game keeps going and going, they're going to have to hopefully hope that it doesn't get warm and tighten up. Okay. So that's what they're dealing with tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do like the Hawks tonight with the plus 170. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to our next and final game. That's going to be the Blazers and the Jazz. The Blazers are actually have won 2 games in this series. They got the final few games coming for. No, actually, they won 2 out of 3 in the series. This is their final game of the season versus each other. Blazers are trying to win the series. Jazz are trying to even up the series. Now, Blazers are struggling mightily this month. They're 2-8 here in the month of March. They've lost the last 6 in a row. They're 14-22 straight up on the road, 12-28 straight up as an underdog, and 10-18 as a road underdog. Now, versus the Northwest, they're 5-8 straight up. Against the spread, they're 34-37. And against the spread on the road, they're 17-19, 13-15 as a road underdog. And this is all against the spread. Now, against the spread as in just an underdog in general, they're 17-23. And versus the Northwest, they're 6-7. And when it comes down to their 72 games, they've actually went under in 35 of those games. But they've had 2 pushes as well, too. So don't shoot the messenger, all right? All right, so Jazz coming to this one. 4-4 in the month of March. They've won their last 4 out of 5, including the last 2 in a row. They're 22-13 straight up at home, 17-16 as a favorite, and then 13-11 as a home favorite. Versus the Northwest, they're 8-7 straight up. And then when it comes to the spread, they're 40-29-2, one of the better, second best in the league when it comes to that category. Then when it comes down to their spread against the spread at home, they're going to be 19-15-1. And then when it comes down to the spread as a favorite, 13-19-1, as a home favorite, 9-14-1. Versus the Northwest, 5-7-1. And then when it comes down to the over-under, they've actually went over in 71 of their games 40 times. So with that, I like tonight to play the under. I think that they're going to play a little bit of defense here in this game tonight. And I think what happens here is that you get yourself a really, really good game tonight. And I'm scoreboard watching. It's that simple. But, this game is critical for Utah. And, Dame likes to be a spoiler. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. I know the Lakers are going to be big fans of the Blazers tonight. And they're going to be big fans of the Hawks tonight as well, too. But I'm not picking against the Hawks because I feel like the Lakers, because I'm being a homer, I'm picking against the Wolves because they're terrible against the Eastern Conference. So pretty much that's what I'm doing tonight, and I think that it's going to be an over bet because everybody's going to think that they got themselves an easy winner. Now let's go ahead and jump into talking tickets, and I'm going to be a little quick here because I am running out of time. So pretty much we have the CBB PrimeTime PK3, 7-1. We got Eastern Kentucky a part of this. They're plus 5.5 today, all pluses today. And then we have Vandy money line plus 100, and then we got Cincy with the plus 105. They're going to give us a 7-1 ticket today. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Single what you like. All right, and then here goes the NBA in full. I just broke down every game for you, every play for you that I was going to play tonight. But here goes the review of all those plays. Mavs minus 105 money line, over 224.5. Knicks Heat. Then we got the Spurs plus 17.5. And then we got the Hawks money line plus 170. And then we wrap it up with the under 235 Blazers and Jazz. All right. Okay, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You guys are the absolute best. There is no me without you. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.